I am sitting with our own Jody Bagley. And Jody, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. So we are doing interviews and discussions on how or when we turned fear into faith. Do you have a story to share with us?
I do have a story that comes to mind about turning fear into faith. I think it will fit with that theme, but I'll let you decide at the end. If anything, it's a beautiful story that's dear to my heart. So when I was about 19 years old, I was working, had my first job as a music director, and that was at a Methodist church back in my hometown of Maine, or my home state of Maine. And so I was working for the Methodist church, and this church has a summer camp deep in the woods of Maine called Camp Mechawana. And I got asked if I would volunteer to be a counselor. They were looking for some counselors at this camp for a children's music theater camp. So I'd taught kids many times before. It's not a big deal at all. Went there, did the camp, loved it, had a great time working with the kids. And they liked me as a counselor, and they asked if I would come back for the following week. And I said, sure, I'll come back for the following week and be a counselor. And they said, well, this camp is a little bit different next week. They said, this is a camp that we run every year for adults with special needs. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, that should be cool, but having some fears, having some worry about everything from not really being trained how to work with adults with special needs to just a fear of what it might be like. I've worked with kids. It was a music camp. This one had no specific theme. It's all about just being there with these adults and doing camp activities with them. And many of them are return campers. So I agreed to do it. Was very nervous. But ended up having just an incredible experience meeting all of these adults who were just some of the most fun and creative and interesting and inspiring people. And some of just the most loving people I'd ever met in my life. Just kind of instant love, whereas, some of us tend to, might have apprehensions, but to, as a stranger coming in, I felt lots of love. And there was one girl in particular, a girl named Heather, who really took a liking to me. Now, Heather was, confined to a wheelchair with cerebral palsy, and she was unable to speak, but she could laugh, and you could tell when she was excited, and there were a lot of counselors that knew her, because she had been there for a few years. So everyone, Heather, she would get excited when she saw counselors, but she took just a real strong liking to me. And everyone was like, oh, she likes you, and people would say, oh, Jody's over there doing an activity. And she would get really excited. She'd move around in her chair, and it was great. And so we had a fun time kind of, getting to know each other, doing activities. We'd help her out of her chair sometimes to get into, her bed and things like that. And she, when I would come around, she would giggle, she would blush, all these things. So, the end of the week, through the week, pretty much instantly my fear started kind of going away. There's lots of prayer that happens there as well. It was a Methodist camp, so, it was a lot of prayer, a lot of positivity, and just felt great. And what was really inspiring was at the end of the week, we put on a camp talent show. So of course I had to be a part of it. You had counselors, and then you had the guests as well, and so I remember I was singing a song. I'm trying to remember which song it was. But so we have a full room. All the guests are there with all their families. It's the end of the week, and I'm up there singing a song. It may have been For the Longest Time by Billy Joel. I think I might have been that song. I was singing it a cappella, I think. And Heather, my friend Heather, was sitting in her wheelchair in the back. And as I began singing, partway through the song, I see people kind of looking, kind of moving around, and I hear like some, whispers and hubbubs and gasps and things like that. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I start to get a little nervous again. And I see her from the back, it's kind of set up like a sanctuary, and I see her in the back, and she stands up out of her chair, or she had stood up, and she was walking down the aisle, down the center aisle, slowly walking towards me. And everyone was just kind of in awe of this, like, oh my God, like she can hardly walk, and never really walks on her own. And she was up there, like, excited, like, wanted to come closer to me. And I'm singing and just kind of tears streaming down. It was just an incredible moment, and life-changing in a way, going into something where, my first thought of doing this camp was like, I can't do this. I'm not trained in this way. And I'm just nervous, I was just very nervous, very scared. And, just to see the progression within myself throughout that week, and just having that trust in myself, trust in God that it was the right decision. And it ended up being one of the most magical moments of my life, meeting this wonderful girl. And I stayed there for 2 more weeks after that, and did 2 more special needs camps after that, and met other members, and it was great. And I did return the following year as well. And it became just a real special memory in my life, and just was a real life-changing moment for me.
Wow, Jody, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thanks.